Okay, so let me get this thing connected. So you can see the slideshow.
Before we saw,
You can see now, Mataji?
yes, we can see now.
Okay. So I'm just gonna quickly go over what we had covered last time. Um, we'll not spend too much time on this. So this is the previous chapter talking about the Vedas and what Vedas actually have to offer, the information that they have to offer us. So continuing, we have, so the Vedas, they're basically knowledge, and they have almost every knowledge you can imagine: maths, science, history, social, political, every views, every kind of knowledge they has. Total, there are five Vedas, four main Vedas, and the fifth Veda is the Itihas, Puranas, Upanishads. Um, Moving on, we have three different ways to deal with the Vedas. There's a Karma Kanja section, there's a Jnana Kanja section, there's a Upasana Kanja section. The Upasana Kanja is actually the highest way to deal with the Vedas or to approach the Veda, is because it is the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is considered to be the topmost. Within the other kandas, we have four aspects which are called Purusharthas. The four are Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So if you do good dharma, meaning if you do good karma, you'll get artha, you'll get good materialistic gains, which artha gives rise to kama, sense gratification. And when you're free from all these three things, you get moksha, liberation. However, this still keeps you entangled in the material universe. It doesn't let you go farther than material universe. So it is very important that we understand that this is not what the material life is meant for. Even though there are these aspects mentioned in the Vedas, but the reason why they're mentioned is Vedas is not just for devotees, or Vedas is not just for a specific type of person. They are for the whole mankind, for the whole world, right? Any kind of person, be it rich, be it the poor, be it middle class, any kind of person can approach the Vedas and get what they're looking for. So the Vedas has the answers, or sorry, the Vedas has the process for all kinds of gains, spiritual gains, material gains. It just depends on the seeker, what they are looking for. Going more into the depth, the most important point is that this Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, which is written by Ved Vyas and translated to us by Srila Prabhupada, it is the essence of only the spiritual aspect of the Vedas. Bhagavatam has no, you know, point to deal with the material aspect. Material aspect is not important to devotees. It should not be important to devotees. Bhagavatam does not dwell, Bhagavatam does not give any details on how to gain materialistic things. That is not the point of life. That is not the aim of life. Therefore, it only focuses on the spiritual aspect. And it is as this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam states. Now, just letting you know, these verses in this Bhagavatam are written by Ved Vyas. However, the main point where these verses are coming from are the Vedas. So just because this verse is in the Bhagavatam, does not mean that it is only glorifying the Bhagavatam. It is glorifying the Bhagavatam, but it is not self glorification. It is the importance of Bhagavatam and what Bhagavatam actually is. And as it says, it is the mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literatures, meaning the whole Vedas, if you were to take it as a tree, right? The fruits, let's say take a mango tree, that ripened fruit, right? You have the mango. The ripened fruit, that juice, that nectar is Srimad Bhagavatam. Um, Three ways to understand Vedas. One is Shruti, using hearing. One is Nyaya, logic. And the other is remembering. today's chapter, we are going to go in a bit more logical and scientific aspects of something I'll mention later. But it's all from the Bhagavatam, it is all from the Vedas. Because remember, Vedas does not deal with spiritual or material, it also deals with scientific, the Gyan, right? The scientific aspect is also there. So logic is also there, reasoning is also there. So we must approach those as well. The three spiritual aspects of the Bhagavatam, sorry, the Vedas are three main points is Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. Sambandha is the relationship we establish with Krishna. Who am I? What am I to Krishna? Who is God? What is my relationship with God? Sambandha, we have to understand the relationship. Abhideya is the purpose for bhakti, devotional service. It's the process, right? How? Okay, now we have established that this is a relationship that must be created with Krishna. What is the process? Now, Prayojana is the supreme goal, right? So our goal is getting to Krishna. What is the Abhidya? The process is bhakti. Why are we doing all this? To establish a relationship, to have a sambandha with Krishna. The origin of the Vedas, that it's all in the. This is from Bhagavad Gita, but the origin basically started from Krishna to Brahma and so on, goes to Narada, Vyasa, all the disciplic succession. We will not be going to detail of that. So the reason why they were recorded was for our benefit. It's as the Chatur Yuga, the four yugas. It starts from Satya Yuga. Satya Yuga, then Dwapar Yuga, then Treta, and then Kali Yuga. However, in this cycle, it was switched. It became Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and then um, Kali Yuga. The word Dwa, right? Dwi or Dwa, when you're doing, it means two, and three or tre is three. So the first is Satya, second is Dwapar, third is Treta, and then fourth is Kali Yuga. Only in this cycle it was Satya, Treta, and then Dwapar, because Treta Lord Ram came, and Dwapar you had Krishna. Um, so they are very important, right? We have to accept the Vedas. We have to accept what it says. The reason being is because um, when we were talking about the three pramans, Pratyaksha, Anuman, and Shabda. Pratyaksha being the weakest, we cannot assume, we should not assume. I was taught, assume, if you take the word assume and you break it apart, it becomes ASSUME. You make a ass out of you and me, so therefore we should not assume. um and Prataksha and Anuman is experimenting, hypothesizing. It's all based on assumptions. It may be, you know um it may be knowledge, like it sorry, it may be assumptions based on the facts that educated assumptions, but even then they're assumptions, and if they're false, then you're making the ass out of you and me. Shabda Praman is not based on any assumption. It is all facts, that are proven for many yugas, many lifetimes, many years. They've been, accepted, and they have been proven to be true. So we should accept them. Just like, in a textbook, if you read a textbook in school, it tells you 2 plus 2 is 4. Now, 2 plus 2, first you have to accept that 2 plus 2 is 4. And then it goes into the logic of how it is. Same thing with the Vedas. Accept the Vedas and you'll get all the logic. You'll get all proofs, all evidences you need. They're all there in the Vedas. Just one has to make the endeavor to read them. So the point is, keep our faith. We have to have faith in the Vedas, and it's not wrong. One of the example is today they have they have gotten the distance between the Earth and the Sun, and it is known as the astronomical unit. 1 AU, astronomical unit, is the distance between Earth and Sun. Now, even that distance is actually not exact. What exact is, it's actually given in the Hanuman Chalisa. Reason being, because Hanuman was actually, he flew from Earth to the Sun thinking Sun as a mango. So he wanted to devour that. So he flew towards the Sun, and in the Chalisa it's written Yug Sahastra Yod Janaparabhanu. If you multiply, Yug is 12,000, Sahasra is 1,000 and yojan is 8. If you calculate 12,000 times 1,000 times 8, that's some number I'm forgetting, but that's how many miles is the exact distance between Earth and the Sun. Um, so how do we get this knowledge? That is through disciplic succession. In Bhagavad Gita, it's an important verse. Evam parapraptam imam rajasayo vidhu sakalena mahata yoga nashta parantapa. So you have to accept this knowledge through the chain of disciplic succession. Um, this is one important verse. It's basically from Baladev Vidyabhushan, is a very important um, person in our lineage, and he's quoting a verse from Padma Puran, which is a Veda, and he says that any mantra that does not come in disciplic succession is considered to be useless. So it is setting the principle how important disciplic succession is, and we must accept that. Even if you're taking our okay, this may be spiritual, right? So what about material? If you look at your teachers, they learned it from someone, their teachers learned it from another teacher, and so on, going to the first person who, let's say, created mathematics. They kept teaching, they had disciples, they had students, and it came down from the person who basically found mathematics, found in the sense it was there, it was this rediscovered, um, and it went down from them to us. So even in the material aspect, we can see there is a succession that is leading us back. Um, these are some important parallels in the Vedas and the modern science. I won't be going over them; it's going to take too much time. But now, Vedas not just has history; it also has future. It has predictions. Right? There are many predictions in the Vedas. One of them was Buddha. One other one is Chanakya. One is about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Mahabharat Skanda of the Veda. Then Chandragupta and Emperor Ashoka, Jesus. Then there's also the Kalki avatar, which is going to happen in the end of Kali Yuga. And it is all there. Actually, it is mentioned even the village or that place where Kalki will take birth. The name of the father of Kalki even is mentioned. Who will be the father of Kalki? Even that is mentioned. The parents, everything is mentioned in the Vedas. Bhagavatam, these verses from Bhagavatam, right here, Kali Yuga, Kalki Avatar, these have the information. So you can go ahead and read if on your own if you would like. Now, today's one of the aspects is, so there is two ways to find any kind of knowledge. One is inductive, other is deductive. Inductive is basically not accepting any authority and trying to find the truth by one's own endeavor or speculation. This takes a lot of time, like you're basically just regarding everything being told to you and you're going to find the answers yourself. Go ahead, take years and years of your time and go ahead and find the answer. The other one is deductive, right? The deductive is basically deducing the answer, knowing, using the facts that you already know and deducing the answers from there. For example, if you want to know who your, if your father is, go ahead and ask your mother, right? She'll tell you who your father is. And inductive reasoning, if you use that, you have to go test every single human being's DNA and try to match the result and then find, oh, maybe this is my father. And even then, the DNA of humans is so close related to each other that you actually won't ever be able to find exactly who your father is. So use deductive, save some time. So this is the chapter 4. um does anyone have any questions before I continue chapter 5 today?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Um, I don't really have a question, but I kind of have more of a thought process or I guess a point that I'd like to share, if you
Yeah,
don't.
go ahead. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I really liked how you were mentioning that it's really hard to find something through that logic of trying to find something by yourself, because it reminded me of that analogy that Srila Prabhupada had given. I know this isn't directly related, but somehow the analogy came up to my mind that the stairway and an elevator, you can either choose to take the elevator or you can either take the stairway to the top. And obviously um it's way easier to take the elevator. It's way easier to just go through disciplic succession or like your guru instead of trying to find out stuff your own way. So thank you for that.
Yeah, exactly. Why do you want to go through the trouble that someone else has gone and given you the answer, trying to find that answer? And these answers in the Vedas, if you relate, they are not okay. They are not being given to us for let's say like last 500 years. They have been given to us since time immemorial. How long can you go back in one lifetime and get those answers, right? So why, as Asra said, why take the stairways, when you have the elevator to your service? Any more points, questions before we move on to chapter 5? Okay, so let's continue. So now we have learned about Vedas. Okay, what Vedas are, what they have us to offer to us. Now let's go deeper into the study of the Vedas and understand, right? See, if you see the first point that was mentioned in the three spiritual aspects of Vedas, one of them is Sambandha, Abhidya, and Prayojana. We have some knowledge of Prayojana, we have some knowledge of Abhidya, being in ISKCON for a few years, but we don't have complete knowledge. Now, to understand, before you even understand who Krishna is, let us understand ourselves. Who are we? To create a sambandha, to create a relationship with someone, you have to understand yourself first. If you don't understand yourself first, then you can never understand the other person, and then you're going to have problems. For example, if you, let's say, you make a new friend in school, if you don't know about yourself, what you want from a friend, how you are expecting your friendship to go, then that friendship will never blossom, right? It will be always static, stable somewhere, not really going any direction, and one day it's going to break. So before we can create friends, before we can establish a relationship with someone, let us understand ourselves. So who are we, right? Who are we? That's the question that is very important here, and that is the first aspect of sambandha, to understand who are we. Then we'll understand who is God, then we'll understand how to make a relationship with God. But let us first understand ourselves. So I have a question for all of you, and I would love if you guys can participate as well. So question is, do you believe that there is something called a soul? Okay, a lot of people talk about soul, spirit, same thing. So do you believe that there is something called a soul? And do you think you are a soul or you're something else? And why do you believe that? What is your reasoning that you are a soul? If you agree that you are a soul, then what is your reasoning, right? What's your evidence? Is it just because your parents told you? Is it just because you read somewhere, or you actually truly believe that you are a soul? So take a couple minutes, think about the questions, and then I would love people to volunteer and answer the question so we can have a nice discussion here. It is not just me giving the class and you guys are hearing, it is more of a discussion. So participate. So take a few minutes and think about this question, and then we can go ahead and share.
Can I answer it?
Have you thought about it?
Yes.
Okay. I won't just letting you know, I will not accept the answer. Don't just say that your parents told you. Okay. Think more
No,
deeply on
no.
this point. Yeah, go
No,
ahead. Go ahead. You can
actually,
answer
we
it.
are not this body. Krishna created us. So the that soul we cannot see. It is very tiny. Like it is very tiny piece of something. So we cannot see the soul, and cannot soul cannot be dyed by water, air,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
in the ocean, or
Okay,
it
you are you
cannot
are you're
be.
saying you're saying the quotations from Bhagavad Gita. That's okay. I'm talking about logical reasoning. Give me facts, give me evidence. I'm looking for evidence. Don't see, that is true, the soul cannot be seen. The size of the soul is, take the tip of your hair, just the tip, not the whole strand. Take the tip of that hair and cut that tip into 10,000 pieces, and one of the pieces is the size of the soul. So it's tiny, but it's the same aspect. Can you see air? But we still believe air. Why? Because we can experience it. So have you experienced the existence of soul? That is my question.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, go
Um,
ahead.
so I think this was from a few years ago. I remember listening to a class by Keshavananda Prabhu where he was stating Do we ever say like I hand, I leg, or I'm like, you never like actually say I, we say my. Even when I say the body, we don't say I body, we say my body. But who does that body belong to? Like, who's residing that body, that's controlling over that body? And then you would say the soul, So like even like grammatically, if you think about it, there's a grammatical way to point out that we are not this body, because like even through English grammar, I don't know, maybe even in many other languages, you don't really say I body, like,
Yeah.
and I guess that makes like a lot of sense to think about, like, yeah, we're not the body because I never I body anything, I
There
guess.
you go. That's the answer. I think class is over for today. You've hit the bullseye. um, but yeah, that's exactly the answer. That is the point. Actually, I have that point in my presentation as well. So we'll cover that in more depth. Anyone else wants to share?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
Uh, Actually, for example, one patient is there. He's in hospital. Doctor gave is the intoxication. So he don't know what is going. Some operation is going on. So they are doing body. So he is fully unconsciousness, but the soul is active. But the soul only knowing what is going on. Body, all senses, everything is due to his medicines is not working, but the soul is knowing. These evidences, a common sense understanding, and some people um, near death, they are experiencing soul is moving and out of body experience. For example, and past lifetime memories. These all can say.
Yes. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare Krishna. I can go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Prabhupada says that we have to see the soul through the effect, the consciousness, like how we see a poison. Even if someone consumes like a very small amount, he will die. So we have to see the effect of it. Similarly, the effect is the soul, and we see how the body parts are functioning, where the energy is. So that is a soul. But some people, like the scientists, are saying that it's a chemical energy. But Prabhupada says if you keep two bottles of chemical energy, they won't mix together. The soul has to mix them together. So the soul is the energy.
That is true. That is true. That is true. You cannot actually, I've taken chemistry, so until you mix the two chemicals together, there won't be a reaction. So you have to do that effort. You have to, that the soul has to merge them. So I think all the points are covered, but we'll just go over through. And this whole presentation is based on the science. It has nothing to do with, you know, facts given by Krishna. This is more okay. We understand who Krishna is. We know he is God and he has given us facts. And but why should we blindly believe it? The Vedas themselves have offered the science of knowing, people who are like, oh, we need evidences. We will not believe until it is proven. Here is the proof. And we'll try to prove the points to some degree, not going into too much depth. But basically the point is to understand what is the soul, how does the soul affect our lives, how does the presence of soul affect the life. So these are the points which will be mentioned in the chapter. We won't be doing all the points today. We'll be doing a couple of points. So first is the ABC of Bhagavad Gita, the crux, the main point of Bhagavad Gita, based on the soul. Then there's a scientific proof of the soul's existence, and we'll stop today at practical benefits of the knowledge of soul. Meaning, what that means is, okay, that once we get to that point, we'll know that yes, there is something called your soul. We are the soul. We're not the body. But what are the benefits of knowing that knowledge? What is the benefit of knowing the fact that we are the soul and not the body? And next class we'll be doing the other 3 points. And actually, in this book, there's only one more chapter remaining after this, and after that we're done with book 1. Of course, there are 3 more books to cover, but at least we'll be done with one of them. So let us continue with today's class. We'll see how far we get. Okay. So where is this? Here we. So, the ABC of Bhagavad Gita. You are not the body, you are the spirit soul. That is a fact. And we'll try to prove that fact through the next few minutes of class. And that this is one of the first instructions that was given to Arjuna by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 2.13. I do not have the verse pulled up, but it does this. I think Matra Sparsastu or Dehinos Manjate, one of those verses. I'm not sure. But, anyways, the point is that you are not the body, you are a spirit soul. Now, the question then comes is, okay, if we are, then what makes a living body possess emotions and feelings like pain, pleasure, happiness, distress? And the answer is, it is the soul, which is the spark of life. That is the fact of life. In Vedas, just said that the body is always dead. You know, the Vedas say the body is never alive actually. Body is always dead. But it is only considered alive due to the living force, which is the soul. So what is the body? Body is an instrument and you are the user. For example, let's say let's say you're using a computer. Computer is an instrument to do many things. Let's say you're playing games. Let's say you're doing your homework, online classes, you're doing your homework. It's just an instrument. The computer itself does not have a life. It does not function on its own. Even if you say, oh, some people say, oh, my computer works on its own. The reason why it is working on its own is maybe you have given it a command that it can continue. For example, we have a computer which is actually just playing a slideshow of the different pictures of Krishna all around the world. That computer will automatically shut down. I don't have to press a button. Will automatically shut down at 10:30 p.m. in the night. Automatically shuts down. Is it really working on its own, or is it because I've given it a command that as soon as your clock hits 10:30, shut down? So even if you say that some instrument is working on its own, it's because that has been an input from a user or from the soul. That is the only reason. In this world, any machine is working because a man created that machine. That's the only reason that the machines are here, and that's the only way they're working. So for us, Krishna is the one who made our machines, and he's given us a machine to use. This body is a machine. He has rented us the machine. That, okay, take this machine, use it. You are the soul, you're the user, use it. He's the one who created the machine. For example, when you buy a new phone from a company, right, you have to first pay for the phone. And when you buy the phone, it is your phone, you use it how you want to use it. The company has nothing to do with it, but if you break it, you bear the consequences. If you treat it properly, your phone lasts for years. Same principle here. Krishna has given us a phone. And what he wants in return is that we love him. We honestly, sincerely love him and surrender into him. That's all he expects. He doesn't want any money. He is the richest person in this whole entire universe, all the three universes. He's the richest. Why would he want our money? He wants $1 from us? No, he has trillions and quintillions of dollars in his pocket. He doesn't need money from us. He doesn't need anything else from us. He only wants our love. That is our payment for using this machine given to us by him. And another thing is, changing a vehicle is similarly as changing a body. What does it really mean, changing a body? For example, let's take ignore the vehicle example. Let's take a phone. So first let's take an iPhone, for example. There was iPhone 3, then iPhone 4, then iPhone 5, then iPhone 6, so on to now iPhone 12 is now out. So we are changing the phones, right? So the phones are getting changed, but me as the person using the phone is the same. I'm not changing. I'm still Ujjwal. I have an iPhone 3, I'm still Ujjwal. I have an iPhone 12, I'm still Ujjwal. I have iPhone 6 or whatever, Samsung, whatever phone I have, I'm still that same person. I'm not changing. So same thing here. User stays the same. It's only the machine that's getting changed. This machine grows old. Every machine grows old, gets weaker, does not able to do the job properly. We change the machine. We're like, okay, this machine is bad. Let's trash it. Let's get a new machine. Same thing is happening here as well. So even in the material points, we have these spiritual points embedded that we have to recognize. Now, the scientific proof of soul, people, like they ask, can you show me the soul? You can't see the soul. You cannot even today, let's say, forget about soul. See, the soul is um I'll get to the slide. Soul is not matter. It is a spiritual matter. It is beyond this material existence. Okay. The question may be now that how can we see something spiritual, right? You can't, but you can't even see something material. There has been no physicist, no physician or chemist or any kind of person has ever been able to see a proton or an electron. They have never seen it, not even in microscope. They've not seen atoms. This is not spiritual. This is material. Atoms, matter is material. They still have not seen it. What to talk about spiritual things? When a material human being is not able to see a material object, how can they expect to see something spiritual on the material platform? Soul is visible in the spiritual platform, but for that we have to we have to raise ourselves to the spiritual platform. Until we raise ourselves to the spiritual platform, we will not see the soul. On the material platform, the soul is a tip of a hair, 10,000 pieces. One of that pieces is the size of the soul. But on the spiritual platform, there is no size, right? The soul is a proper shape, right? It's a proper thing. It's not anything that tiny. In the material, we're not able to see atoms, what to expect to see spiritual things. So we'll use inferential logic, which is basically using reasoning and things we see to prove a point. And we're going to prove the existence of the soul using logic and reasoning. It has nothing to do with spiritual. This is all material. Let's prove the soul using material facts and evidences we have. Forget about spiritual. Spiritual we already have from Bhagavad Gita. Let's focus on those material aspects. So one way is through common sense. For example, I see a person wearing a black coat. The next day, I see him wearing a white coat. So do I call him Mr. Black Coat or do I call him Mr. White Coat? Now, if I say any of those, I'm the most foolish person. I'm addressing a person, I'm identifying a person by the clothes that he or she is wearing. The person is the same. It is just changing the out, right? He's just changing his outer wear. He's just changing his clothes. He's wearing a black coat this time. Maybe he made a blue coat next time, other color, this, that, whatever he's wearing. The person is the same. That is what is the soul, right? The soul is that person and the body is the clothes. There are many analogies to understand this point. And all the analogies that are there are material analogies. Don't have to go into spiritual for this point, right? Just understand it through material and then we can dive into spiritual. So that is what soul is. Now, when a person dies, we say he or she has passed away or left us. Who left us? If you're saying that you're the body is still there. So who left us? Like the Indian people, they have a ritual of burning the body. People in the Western worlds, they don't burn the body, they just cremate the body. So according to them, body is still present. Okay, then why do you say that they have left us? Who left us? Who left us? The soul. The source of life has left us. So even here, unknowingly, they are accepting that the person is the soul, not the body. It is the spirit soul that they accept it. Everyone accepts it. Everyone knows this fact. It's just some people don't accept, some people accept. People who don't accept, inside they know that what that person is saying, that you are the soul, is correct, but they don't want to believe it. That is the foolishness of the persons. Another way to understand this is using intuitive understanding, which is using or based on what one feels to be true, even without conscious reasoning. This is the example Asra mentioned. When you say, oh, this is my hand, this is my finger got cut, my finger got burned. Do you say I finger got burned? No. There is nothing known as I hand, I finger. The I is distinct from the body, mind, and intelligence. See, when we say that this is my head, this is my hand, this is my car, this is my computer, this means that these objects belong to you or some owner, right? When you say my hand, meaning this is my hand, I am the owner of this hand. When you say my computer, my phone, I am the owner of this phone or computer. You don't say iPhone. Now, iPhone here, don't go there. I'm talking about the big iPhone, not iPhone. Or let's say iComputer. Do you say iComputer? No. Do you say iHand? No. You don't relate yourself that way. You always say, this is my hand, this is my finger. Even in a dead body, there are eyes, there's brain, there's ears, there's all the things. But do they function? They don't hear. The dead body cannot hear us. The dead body cannot speak. If you're the body, what's wrong? Why can't you speak? Why can't you still hear? Because the soul is not present. The soul is the source of life that is there in the body, and that is why the body is able to use the functions given to us. For example, if you take a machine, for example, if the machine, let's take a airplane. For an airplane to fly, it needs either some battery, it needs that, or it needs fuel for the engine to run. If there is no battery connected or external power source and there is no fuel, the plane won't work. It's as good as dead. It's as good as trash. But as soon as you put fuel or you connect it to a power source, it's working. It's magic. Same principle here, right? For us, the fuel, if you consider, is the source of life, which is the soul. We are like the dead plane. It will not work unless we have a power source or we have the fuel. So these are two ways. Another way is understanding through okay, awareness, thinking, feeling, and willing. These are couple points that are very important. The soul cannot be measured with any instrument. For example, you can, let's say, if you want to measure a length of a piece of wood, you can use a measuring tape. You have a tool there, but you can't measure the soul. So why should we believe in something for which there is no evidence? You can't see the soul. It is present. It is a spiritual atom. It is there. Is just a matter of training. It is reaching to that level of consciousness, reaching to that level of transcendence to see the soul. Soul is just like the sun. It spreads consciousness all around the body, in every corner of our body. Like the sun is going to give its rays to each and every corner of the world that it shines on. It does not do any kind of discrimination. Soul is same. It will spread consciousness all around. And we have presence of emotions. There's a feelings, you know, for example, like let's take robots. In humans, there is a robot actually that came out. I was watching the videos a couple of days ago. This robot is creating a sandwich for the family, but a mother will also do the same thing. She'll also make a sandwich for her son. A robot will also make the sandwich for that son, for that boy. But there's a difference. What? That's the lack of emotions and the feelings that the robots cannot put in. Robots do not have that consciousness to express emotions and feelings. Only the human beings have. Why? Because we have the soul gives us consciousness. Another one Prabhu mentioned the example of past life memories. People even today remember, some people, they might have the remembrance of remembering that something happened to them, tragic, something tragic happened to them in their previous lives. How are they remembering? See, when the body dies, this is a scientific fact. When one body dies, the contents of its brain are destroyed, and there is no process in this world by which a brain can influence the contents of another brain. A brain does not affect another brain. So then how does one remember the past lives? If you say you are the brain, then that means you are the brain, right? If you say you are the body, then that means you are the brain. But you cannot remember from that way, because a brain cannot pass information to another brain. So that is where we have that interpretation that the conscious self must be an entity distinct from the brain, which is having all these effects. The 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 soul helps us understand this point, that there is consciousness present in our body, and we are using that consciousness to express feelings, to express different kinds of pains that we go through, and all those things. So these are the four ways. Now this, they go in a lot more depth. There are other many ways. I didn't want to go in too much of the scientific proof, but these are four main proofs that are present, and these are not based on the Vedas or anything. These are all material things, right? So if we can understand through the material aspect, then we know that spiritual will be much stronger, and it'll definitely give us the answer. Now, what are the benefits of knowing that you are a soul? Okay, the first benefit is acquiring divine assets. Being a spirit soul directs one to cultivate divine qualities such as humility, tolerance, patience, and honesty. You know that the soul is something transcendental, it's from the spiritual world. So when you totally agree to the point and you understand that you are the soul, these kinds of assets will automatically come to you. The soul knows everything. There is nothing hidden from the soul. It is just you that has to uncover that information. It has to develop these kinds of assets as well. Now, if you know that you never die and you don't, like, you're going to leave everything when you die, then why would anyone so selfishly accumulate all of this wealth? What's the point of being a billionaire when you're not going to take a single penny with you to the next life? What's the point? The world's richest man today, there's a battle between Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, and Elon Musk, the guy, Tesla guy. They have a battle going on who's the richest man. But they have what, $200 billion of their net worth. They're not going to take a single penny. I can guarantee this. They're not going to take even a single cent, that copper cent penny with them to the next life. They will leave everything here. So when you're going to leave everything and you as a soul never die, then what's the point of accumulating all this wealth? you know and that is why the only thing we take with us is our spiritual credits. So if we focus on something we're going to take with us, that's better than focusing on something that we will not have in our next life. Then another benefit is freedom from lamentation, fear, illusion. Death is basically nothing but the transfer of the soul from one body to another. And when you understand this point, you will never have the lamentation of a dear one who left you, who died. Of course, that takes a lot of practice, that takes a lot of sadhana to get to that level that you don't get affected. But after one point, it's a lot easier to accept this truth and know that the person actually never died. They just moved on, but they're still with us, right? They're still there. They have not, they, it's just they changed their coat. They changed their clothings. They may look different, but it's the same person. And you will never have fear when you always know that you are the spiritual body. For example, this example of Srila Prabhupada. When the World War II was going on, and even when India gained independence, both times, when there was threats of bombs, people dying, Srila Prabhupada went on Sankirtan outside. He did not care if he died because he knows that he's not dying. He's just gonna change his body. He's just gonna change his clothes. He's not dying. He's always gonna be there. He's just going to move on. So then there is no fear. So these are the material points. Yeah, let me just finish and we can go for questions. There's just two more slides. Now we have understood the material aspects. We can look at some spiritual aspects. In Bhagavad Gita 2.17, Krishna says, that which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. Okay. So one may say that I don't believe in material, I believe spiritual. So Krishna also says that. Krishna says that you are the soul in 2.13. And here it says that soul never dies. We have another point in 2.20. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He's unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He's not slain when the body is slain. Okay. We have another point in seventh chapter. This is us. Here, Krishna is talking about human beings and how important it is that we are human beings. Krishna says, besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. So we are the superior energy of Krishna, but unfortunately, due to our foolishness, we are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. The point is that we are the superior energy, we are the soul, we don't die. So we have the spiritual aspects as well. So this is where this part ends. There are three more sub chapters. They're very short actually. So we'll just cover those next class. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Anyone else, anyone has questions?
Prabhuji, this is Shubhadra speaking. Like 5 slides before, like you said 2.13. Like you said 2.13.
Yeah.
You mean like one of the shlokas?
Yeah.
But you don't remember? Like I just got it now.
Yeah, I don't know if it's, I don't remember if it's Dehinosmin or Matras Prashas Tugante. I don't know, or it's another one maybe. Yeah, so Dehinosmin Yatha Dehe Kaumaram Yovaram Jara Tada Dehantara Praptir Dhirastatra Muyati. What the verse is saying that this is basically Dehinosmin Yatha Dehe Kaumaram Yovaram Jara. You go from different stages of life, right? But the soul stays the same. You are the soul. So that is the point where he is, what he's mentioning. I think 2.14 is Matra Sparshas tu Kauntya Sitoshna Sukha Dukkada Agama Payonita Stam Stikshasa Bharata. So he says that, oh Arjuna, these passing of this, happiness and distress is just like the passing of this winter season and the summer season. They come and go. So don't get affected by them. That's the point he's making in 2.14. But yeah, the 2.13 and 2.14, they're talking about, in second chapter, he starts talking about the soul. And there's another verse, Nattameham Jatunasam, I think, or some other one where he actually says that the soul, I'm forgetting the verse, but he says the soul cannot be burned, the soul cannot be drowned, the soul cannot be killed, the soul cannot be cut into pieces, and so on. There's 6 things he mentions, Krishna mentions. But yeah, so those are all the spiritual facts, the facts that are coming from the Vedas. But we may have to understand these things to the material facts as well. And that's what we were trying to do. We were trying to deduce, we were trying to logically reason and prove the existence of soul through the, it does not have any connection with what the Vedas say. This was not really connected to what the Vedas was saying. This is saying, okay, let's say you don't know the Vedas, right? You're not a devotee, you're just a normal human being, you're maybe atheist, you don't even believe in God. Then even these points still ask, because none of them say that, a God is the one who created the soul. This is just understanding what soul is and the point, the evidence for the soul. So take it in that matter. But yeah, there are evidences from both sides. There are evidences from the material aspect and there are evidences from the spiritual aspect. Spiritual aspects are based off the instructions or the facts that are given to us by different acharyas, which are coming down from Krishna only. Bhagavad Gita, what Bhagavad Gita means, Bhagavad means Bhagavan, Krishna. Gita, the song of Krishna, the one, so he is saying it, yeah? He is saying the song, he's singing the song, he's singing all these verses. Singing means maybe not exactly singing, but singing also means he's the one who's saying them. So when Krishna says something, it is true, right? There is nothing that is wrong or any kind of even a small error in what Krishna says. It is perfect. The only thing that is perfect is Krishna. So we should accept that. Any other questions? So this is basically where this point of personality development starts. Before we have to know what is, that was the historical points till now. Now we are going into ourselves. Who are we? So the other three books, this total four books, focuses on the soul. It focuses on who you are, how to make yourself a better person, how to make yourself a better devotee. It focuses on those three aspects: sambandha, prayojana, and abhidaya. And the most important thing is sambandha. Who are we? Who is God? And what is our relationship with God? So from this chapter, this is where this whole thing actually continues. We'll see how far, with the interest of people, how far we get. But it is long, it is huge. It's a big course. The whole thing is a course, and it is by Radhesham Prabhu. So it is all bona fide, it is all proper, it is all from the Bhagavad Gita and the other Vedas. So this is where it starts now. So now we have to understand who are we as a soul. How do we use the body, that how do we use the machine that has been given to us? How do we properly utilize it in the service of Krishna? And how do we establish a relationship with Krishna? So I'd like to end the class here. Thank you so much. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much for the class. I just want to say, like, I really like the beginning point that you mentioned, because I never really thought about it that much when you're talking about how other people just try to find the answer like without any reference, because like that's just really hard to do. And I never really thought much about it, because I was always thinking, ever since I was little, I always had a guide, I always had my parents, I always had, my, like, something towards my guru where I can listen to him. And I never really thought there would be people out there that would be like, I want to do this on my own, I want to find the answer on my own. Like, I understand that how they want to be independent, but like, yeah, the way you put it, it sounds like really, I guess, not that smart. It doesn't really sound smart to like have no reference and just try to
Yeah,
find
there's a
the
difference
answer.
between independence and being foolish. People who are going to go on their own trying to find the answers are foolish. They're not smart, right? Even the guides that we have, they will not give us the answers. They will give us the way to approach the answer. We have to do the endeavor to approach the answer, but they'll show us the right path. But the people who are like, I don't care about what my teacher says, I don't care about what this person says, I'm going to do this on my own, those are considered foolish. They are not smart, they are not nerds, they are not utilizing their time properly. Those are foolish, they are not considered smart. The smart is the one who uses his resources properly to get to the answer. So we should use our resources.
Yes, Prabhuji, and the people, the ascending process, the people who are trying that process also, they may find the answer, but only after lots of time and energy.
Exactly, eventually everyone will find the answers to the question. That is true. Some day, some year, some yuga or another, everyone will find the answers to their questions. But do you want to be entangled in this birth, death, disease cycle until you find your answer, or just read a book which is only what, 300 pages, Bhagavad Gita, to find your answers? Take the smarter route. Even in school, actually, at least my teachers, they never taught me to work hard. They told me to work smart. Don't do hard work, do smart work. Don't, hard work does not mean like, don't be a person who just keeps on digging the the earth trying to find water when there is already a hole next to you which has a machine that you can just pump and take the water out. Don't do hard work, do smart work. Work smartly, don't work hard. Now that doesn't mean that you don't do things, because there's a level to where you accept this point. For school you have to work hard, you have to do practices, but it's better to practice or study those points where you are weak rather than keep studying the points where you're already strong. Use your time efficiently. Don't waste your time on one point which you have already mastered. Move on, get to the second point. So that's the point which I'm trying to say, to work smartly, not work hard. Okay, so I think we'll end here. It's 9:15. So thank you so much everyone again. Today was, thank you all for actually participating. We can do more participation things next time, that's for sure. Get more of a discussion, because see, before it was all understanding facts, understands this, just accept and understand and accept it. But now we are, now because we're dealing with ourselves, now we're dealing with this point soul, we are dealing with who we are. It's more of discussion and more of understanding the views of one another rather than facts. There will be less facts and more of understanding. That is the main thing, to develop your character. You have to understand, you have to have different views from different people, and that is the whole point of this class. Now after this will be more of discussions, more of participations. And I definitely might be older than most of you, but I'm still around the same age as you guys. So you don't have to be like, oh, he's above our age. I am definitely above the age, but um I'm still not out of the group yet. I'm still a what's that called, the Zen generation Z, I think, or something, I don't know. I'm still part of the 21st century, that's the point. But yeah, so anyways, we'll end here. So Shubhrapad ki jai. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.